integrating evolutionary biology and conservation ecology. Evolutionary theory arguably predicates many of the past and current biological disciplines. Conservation biology is no exception. Conservation biology is an interdisciplinary subject that seeks to protect Earth's species and ecosystems from the unprecedented rates of extinction that are seen in the modern world as a result of anthropogenic influence. The evolutionary process of natural selection is the driving force of biodiversity in every complex biological system on the planet. Despite this, conservation ecology does not often consider contemporary evolution to be a risk or a tool in management strategies. This is likely due to the traditional perception that evolutionary changes only occur over long timescales and numerous generations. However, studies are increasingly discovering that variation can occur on rapid timescales relevant to conservation biologists, within centuries and decades. A prime example of short-term adaptive evolution is the industrial melanism of the peppered moth. In areas of high pollution, individuals with darker pigmentation are able to camouflage with their pollution-discolored surroundings and so are favoured by natural selection and thrive. This change has only been observed since the onset of the Industrial Revolution. In fact, evolution is actually of particular relevance to conservation ecologists, as natural selection is driven by selective pressure. The higher the selective pressure, the more rapidly a population will have to adapt or go extinct. In the last century, anthropogenic activity has become the driving force of changes to the Earth's biosphere. Anthropogenic agents of selection include overharvesting, the introduction of exotic invasive species, and habitat fragmentation and degradation. This has resulted in the perpetuation of what many believe is a sixth mass extinction event. As a result of this, a primary aim of conservation biology is the protection of critically endangered species. A common practice is to establish such species in refuge populations. These are intensively managed populations that are established to counter the extinction of endemic populations. However, in both the wild and particularly in captivity, these populations often lack genetic diversity and adapt to their refuge habitats. This can result in refuge populations no longer being suitably adapted for their ancestral habitats and can prevent future reintroduction efforts. A solution to this is maintaining gene flow from wild to refuge populations to prevent divergence. However, it is also conversely argued that conservation management strategies such as this futilely attempt to halt evolution, and in doing so reduce the overall fitness of the populations they are trying to save. Due to anthropogenic pressures, the habitat to which refuge populations are suited may no longer exist outside of the refuges, and lack of genetic diversity can limit future adaptive evolution potential. All of this can lead to extinction upon release, leaving such species entirely dependent on human intervention. Evolutionary biologists propose that instead of focusing refuge populations on preserving traits that may soon be unsuited to newly emerging selective pressures, they allow them to progress to their evolutionary potential. The world is changing at an unprecedented rate, and conservationists must strike a balance between preventing the extinction of endangered species and disadvantaging them in a world that has moved on without them. The answer may be to provide species with large refuges unperturbed by humans that allow them to interact and adapt without interference. Evolution and extinction are natural processes that can't be ignored and must be integrated into conservation management strategies if they are to achieve long-term success.